Maybe you want to go to Oman, you want to go to drive to Saudi, maybe you want to bring your car to England in the summer. There needs to be a kind of a common ground and also common systems.
Who owns that data that the car is generating? And secondly, is there particular restrictions whereby whoever gets the data, what they can and what they can't do with it?
Take an example from another industry, so the aviation industry. At this point in time, a modern aircraft would probably have, if not nearly 1,000 different data that kind of are in real time logged on the aircraft, on the operation of the aircraft. And we currently have a big fight actually between the different stakeholders. You have the airlines who operate the aircraft and obviously are kind of are in one way the generators of the data. Yeah. Then you have the OEMs who's produced the hard metal and all the technology in it, and would claim that they not only they wouldn't say they would like to have it, they say we need to have it in order to kind of monitor our products and be better at what we're doing. And then you have the service organizations who's servicing the actual vehicles and who need the data. And then you can find other stakeholders as well. You have insurance companies who want to kind of look into and see how has this now been done. And then you have the owners, normally banks in all lessors, who want to know whether the aircraft is operated in accordance with the contracts that they have with the airline. So you have a number of stakeholders wanting that data. And all of them, or at least if you have the operator and you have the OEM, I mean, they have quite good arguments for saying we actually own, or at least we should control the data. And I think we will see exactly the same thing when it comes to the automotive industry.
Autonomous vehicles are coming, and we know that. What are the legalities in terms of when a vehicle has an accident? How is that going to affect the whole ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting issue, because obviously when the vehicle is basically piloted by a computer based on different data references around it, of course, it's basically piloted under algorithms that someone has at one point in time agreed upon to kind of, these are the different parameters this vehicle will be piloted by or governed by. And then you have someone who actually coded it as well. So what happens if the software, if there's something wrong with the software? We all know that software can have bugs, and obviously you will have a lot of testing before that, but sometimes even subject to intense testing for long periods, etc. Some bugs will appear. There needs to be an agreement on how you share the risks and the liability on that. Some things you can probably and you will try to do contractually. The second thing I think you can note on that is that I think and this is general for all AI, I think it's really important that there is some kind of general agreement on the principles on this, both the more kind of contractual legal ones, but also ethical ones.
Right now, the UAE, with the UAE 2031 strategy, for instance, is really looking at both a strategy of becoming a leader in AI, but also looking at the bigger ramifications and what all those changes mean, and are really trying to take the lead in this one.
I think it's really important that the governments take the lead to a certain extent, because it's such an important issue. And I say governments because I think that's also important, but it's not just about one country, because especially when it comes to mobile assets like a car, I mean, you want to use that car, maybe you want to go to Oman, you want to go to drive to Saudi, maybe you want to bring your car to England in the summer, what have you. And obviously if there needs to be a kind of a common ground and also common systems and common platforms for it.
A question that we always ask, especially from some importers, dealers and the OEMs, is the counterfeit. It's a big issue. It really, from a moral point of view, from a safety standpoint, from a profit point of view, what's your views on that, and how are you tackling this issue?
the automotive industry is particularly kind of affected. And so, as you know, we have a very strong intellectual property department in our Dubai office, and we've extended that now to also have a one person just basically doing counterfeit investigations, and it's quite interesting because it's when we've opened up that part of the business, we realized how big of a scale of an issue it is for some OEMs and also the dealers, of course. And I'm really proud to kind of, you know, our firm is, we have a very strong position within intellectual property in general, but I think going into the counterfeit part here and being one of the few law firms that does that is, I think it's kind of opened up quite interesting opportunities.
Bird & Bird was a supporter and is a supporter of the Women in Automotive initiative, which we launched. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how you're leading internally and some of the best practices and things you've learned that maybe can be transferred to automotive?
First of all, I think it's obviously extremely kind of, in one way, obvious why you should include women in any operations, because if you don't do that, you will basically miss out of 50% of the talent. Yes. So I mean that's something we covered in the sessions before. We have the majority of the staff in our Dubai office is actually women. We are working quite hard within the firm as well to kind of make it possible to also go up to, for example, make it remove any obstacles which may exist in terms of promotions for women. It's obvious that it can work, but it just needs to be something you need to kind of work on.
You like cars, we've heard. You're a bit of a petrol head.
I am.
Okay.
I won't say unfortunately or not, but no. And so obviously this disrupting new kind of car society where we'll see where maybe you don't even can own a car. Who knows? Before that's obviously affected me. Yes, I am. I must say well, I maybe can't point out any particular marks, but I like. German cars with the engine on the back. Okay. Yeah. Rear engine German cars.
That's going to be very, very hard to figure. Yeah.
But I mean that's one thing I love with this country and the community here, because it's really kind of very welcoming for petrolhead.